Let me give you an example then of a Muslim, Shah Rukh Khan, in Venkateshwara temple in the south. You'll have Muslims coming and praying. So as far as politics is concerned, I would suggest listen to those analysts. But let me make this point that it's not just Kerala. India itself is a plural society.
ഈ മഹാരാജ്യത്തിലെ ഒരു ചെറിയ വിഭാഗം ജനങ്ങൾ മാത്രം സംസാരിക്കുന്നതാണ് എൻ്റെ ഭാഷ. പക്ഷേ ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഭാഷ സജീവമാണ്, ചലനാത്മകമാണ്.
What's the secret behind the fastest selling Indian author in fiction?
Good question. When I get to know, I'll tell you. I am as surprised as anyone else. My books have sold so well. Look, my first book was rejected by every publisher to send to. I don't know if you know that. I self-published my first book. I guess I'm just lucky to be there in the right place, right time. Maybe India's mood was changing. The liberalization generation was growing up. Tastes had changed. India was getting more confident and wanted to explore our own culture, many of the younger Indians. And I just happened to be there at the right place, right time.
Is God a delusion?
No, I don't think so. In fact, and bizarrely, actually, I had taken part in a debate on this at the Oxford Union recently. And I, of course, spoke on the side that God is not a delusion. And I spoke from the dharmic perspective, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism. And in my view, Indian Islam and Indian Christianity are also actually dharmic in their outlook. And I presented how from our view, God is not a delusion. And considering the audience, it's Oxford, okay? Oxford is quite left-wing. JNU is a right-wing, dangerous, reactionary university in Oxford, okay? It is that left-wing. We won the debate, man, out there.
Could you please describe your main points, like in a very brief manner, like the main points that made you convinced?
Main point of the... Look, I think the key problem on why in the Western world God is seen as a delusion is not so much the concept of God itself. It's how they see God and their relationship with knowledge. Because the Abrahamic religions at their heart are actually about faith. Knowledge is not important, it's faith. You must believe it, right? Therefore, they have concepts like blasphemy. Dharmic religions don't have a concept of blasphemy because God, whether you have faith or not, is a personal choice, right? God is something that you discover as you grow more and more in terms of knowledge. That's what moksha or nirvana means. As you grow more and more, you become God. As you become more knowledgeable, you become God, right? So our entire perspective is different, because to say God is a delusion, it means you are a delusion, because we believe everything is divine, right? Namaste means I bow to the divine within you. We believe there's divine in everything. It's just that you don't know it yet. You haven't discovered the divine within. And the journey through various lifetimes, the evolution that your soul must take is to discover the divine within. So you are not a delusion. God is not a delusion. Just get on the journey and discover and learn a lot more. It's not actually, faith is not central. In the dharmic way, you can be an atheist and still be a Hindu or Buddhist or Jain. Doesn't matter, right? It's more about accepting the principles of dharma.
In a society which has its core values, the Vasudeva Kudumbakam,
The entire world is one family.
entire world is one family. Why do we then have so much of social discrimination and hierarchy in our society?
Very good question again. And this I've seen in because there were religions like the Abrahamic religions, which began more as politico-social movements with the trappings of a religion on top. That's why they always have an in-group and an out-group, believers and non-believers. The ancient pagan way, of which the dharmic religions are among the last surviving, but the ancient Greco-Roman, all of them. Their entire thing was actually the path to divinity is a journey. There are some who are further ahead, some who need to travel a lot more. So that hierarchy comes in internally. Both groups of religions have pluses and minuses, right? Have strengths and weaknesses. The Abrahamic group of religions, their biggest weakness is hatred for the heathen, hatred for the non-believer, and they've carried out tremendous violence, across the last many centuries on that. The problem in the pagan religions usually is they are doctrinally very liberal, but internally there's a lot of hierarchy. So everyone should be, all both groups of religions should be aware of their strengths and their shortcomings and try and improve their shortcomings. Which is why I always say, as a Hindu, what I speak most strongly against for Hinduism is actually against the caste system, because that is our internal weakness. Doctrinal liberalism is inbuilt into Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, because we believe all forms of worship are true. In the Abrahamic religions, internally, the principles are very equal oriented. Their key problem is the hatred for the heathen or the kafir and the violence that emerges on that. So they need to control that. They need to control the hatred for the non-believer. So both groups of religions have strengths and weaknesses.
Should mythology be taught in the schools?
Okay, this is turning out to be a much more serious interview.
No. Should mythology be taught in the schools?
I think yes, because look, what do our traditional stories say? They are actually paths to learning philosophies, right? And in our traditional education system, there's this beautiful book called The Beautiful Tree. It was written by Dharampalji. He was a Gandhian, and he'd written it based on British records. And he spoke of how our education system was, and we had a widespread education system till the British times, when the British took over and destroyed it with their taxation policies. And he analyzed based on British records our gurukuls, pathshalas, and madrasas. Now, first thing is that book breaks many of the biases that we have about our own ancestors. So, for example, pathshalas and gurukuls had a majority backward caste student base. Okay, so this thing that backward castes weren't allowed to study, no, not true. Madrasas had a very large number of girl students. So this thing that Muslims did not teach their girls is also not true. I'm not sure about other countries, but in India, girls were taught. So, and the interesting thing about all these three groups, the first entry level studies was usually the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. Okay, because it taught you about our philosophies, it taught you about your way of life, it taught you how to make choices. So I genuinely believe they should be taught.
We are in Kerala. There are different versions of Ramayana in Kerala, even including one which says Mapla Ramayana.
Yeah.
And it's a very plural society, multicultural society. I'm going to ask you a political question because I think it'd be fun to get an answer from you, from a writer's point of view, from someone who writes about faith, about the BJP question in Kerala. You know, what's wrong with BJP in Kerala? What do you think? Like,
I never speak on politics. There are many.
No, but in the sense,
there are many far wiser than me who analyze politics. Many of them are on TV most of the time, every night. Some of them are so loud you can hear them even if you switch the TV set off. So as far as politics is concerned, I would suggest listen to those analysts. But let me make this point that it's not just Kerala. India itself is a plural society. It is our natural way of being. And let me give you examples on this. So there are multiple versions of the Ramayana across India, not just in Kerala. Look at faith and worship practices, for example. In Venkateshwara temple in the south, you'll have Muslims coming and praying out here. At Ajmer Sharif in the north, or Haji Ali Dargah in the west in Mumbai, which are Muslim dargahs, outside of a Friday, you usually have more Hindus praying out there. This is our natural way. We are naturally pluralistic.
Just one final question on the pluralistic question.
Okay.
Some people say, being Hindu in modern India they are afraid to say that because it would be seen as being anti-Muslim.
I've never hidden the fact that I'm a very proud Hindu. And from 2010 onwards, when my first book came out, my first public interview, I would have said I'm a very proud Hindu. But at the same time, I said at the same time that our family was such that we used to worship figures of all gods. Excuse me, not just Hindu gods, right? I had Guru Nanak Dev Ji of Sikhism, I had Gautam Buddha. My wife is a Jain, by the way. I had a lovely Byzantine picture of Mother Mary and Jesus Christ, of the Kaaba. And this is the Indian way, and I've been saying this since 2010. I'm a very, very proud Hindu. I literally wear it on my sleeve. But at the same time, I respect all faiths. This is the Indian way. And let me give you an example then of a Muslim, Shah Rukh Khan. He's a Muslim, as we all know, married to a Hindu, and he made this very nice interview once. If I remember correctly, his son asked him that what's the name of God, and they said, and there was a discussion in the family, and they said Ganpati Allah, and he said because both, and this is an Indian Muslim, saying that. And this to me shows the pluralistic nature of India. My suggestion to you, don't go by what media people say. Sadly, the media is the atmosphere of modern media is such. They want two gladiators, right, on both sides, screaming and shouting at each other. The real India is not actually like that. The real India is not your Twitter feed. The real India is not a TV panel debate. If the real India was actually that way, we would be like Syria, right? We are not.
Maybe in one line or two line. How do you write like Amish Tripathi? Like write every day or whatever it is.
No, in my promoting phase, I don't write. There, I'm doing things like this. In my writing phase, I take writing breaks. I cut off. I don't look at my phone, everything, and I write continuously. So I'm a bit schizophrenic, I guess, that way. Because when I'm writing, I'm a different person in a way. I'm much more emotional, much more right-brained.